Imagine going to a doctor and having him tell you that you are really, really messed up. Then you ask exactly how and why you're messed up. What's the cause? And what can be done about it? He doesn't really know, but he's very eager to keep telling you how doomed you are. Yeah, it's good to know how bad the situation is, but at some point, merely telling you how unhealthy you are doesn't really help all that much. But when you ask him what to do about it, he just says, I don't know, maybe take an aspirin or something. A lot of times you'll see a completely justified expression of outrage over yet another example of police brutality, followed by some vague, impotent call for accountability. Or you'll see yet another example of political corruption, followed by a plea for people to vote harder. Or you'll hear of the latest fascist legislation being proposed, followed by a suggestion that people write their congressman. All of these are fine examples of how simply knowing that something is wrong is not the same as knowing what is wrong, or having any idea what might actually stop it. Does anyone really believe that getting one sadistic cop fired is going to somehow reverse the many decades-long trend of the country stampeding towards totalitarianism? Does anybody really believe that voting a particular scumbag out of office will make the rest suddenly become angelic and noble? Does anybody really think that holding another protest where people loudly complain at professional liars, thugs, and thieves is going to make the politicians suddenly acquire a conscience? When people who are anti-statist say such things, a lot of times activists will object, saying, well, at least we're doing something by voting, petitioning, campaigning, and complaining. But if you're doing something that has no record of success and no chance of success, what's the point? If it's just to feel better about yourself while accomplishing nothing, then have fun with that. But the most frustrating part is when all the good people who recognize and criticize the results of authoritarianism and statism then turn around and make excuses in support of authoritarianism and statism. So many people object to the inevitable results of having a ruling class, but when faced with the idea of not having a political master at all, they get even more agitated and alarmed in the other direction. They start talking about, yeah, we need reform and we need to petition and vote differently. But if somebody comes along and suggests that maybe we should get away from the abuser entirely, they suddenly go into terminal Stockholm Syndrome mode. It's like they're saying, I know it's been nasty and violent, but it can get better. Deep down, I know government cares about me. Government wants what's best for me. It can change. And in a way, it's kind of my fault. And I can't possibly live without government. So let me be blunt to the point of being rude. If you zealously condemn the misdeeds of the powers that be, while continuing to argue that government is legitimate and necessary, you are an enabler of tyranny. You are ridiculously gullible and will accomplish absolutely nothing, except to secure the chains of your own oppression. If you bitch about the symptoms of authoritarian injustice while still advocating the cause of that injustice, you are still a part of the problem. Good people advocate reforming or limiting murder, theft, and assault? Or do they advocate ending those things? For the same reason, the violent domination and enslavement that is government should not be tinkered with, rearranged, and reformed or amended. It should be ended. And that starts with people recognizing the fact that calling extortion and thuggery law doesn't make it right. And calling a gang of violent parasites government doesn't make their actions legitimate. Until all the statist protesters and activists realize this, they will be little more than slaves, begging their own masters to please whip them a little less often. If you still think that presidents, vice presidents, speakers of the House, members of Congress, or the justices of the Supreme Court are steering this ship, you are not paying attention. And buying this left versus right paradigm smokescreen is sinking us deeper and deeper into the cesspool of immorality, while the bankers leverage their power and plunge us even deeper into transgenerational debt slavery. Think about this. While we bicker among ourselves, and yeah, I'm guilty of it too, the real criminals move with a powerful, invisible skill behind the veil of political and religious illusions. And the longer we stay divided, the more power is divested from us and the more powerful they become.